What if I told you that the greatest danger to civilization isn't evil, it's comfort? Not chaos, but obedience. Not the monsters hiding in the shadows, but the ones staring blankly in the mirror. What if the real threat isn't the absence of intelligence, but the abandonment of thought itself? Imagine this. A brilliant engineer builds machines that eventually enslave millions. A kind schoolteacher begins parroting state propaganda to children. A devoted friend stands by in silence as atrocities unfold. These aren't villains. They're people like you and me. Smart, educated, well-intentioned. So what happened? This is the unsettling question German theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer tried to answer before being executed in 1945 for resisting the Nazi regime. And the answer he found was far more terrifying than evil. Bonhoeffer didn't believe stupidity was a lack of intelligence. He believed it was something more sinister, a psychological weapon that turns individuals into passive tools of destruction. He wrote, "Against stupidity, we are defenseless. Neither protest nor force can touch it." Why? Because stupidity, in his view, wasn't an intellectual defect. It was a moral one, a type of learned blindness that arises when people stop thinking for themselves and start outsourcing their conscience to the crowd. You've seen this. We all have. Smart people sharing absurd conspiracies. Empathetic individuals becoming vessels of hate. Entire communities turning against reason, not out of malice but out of convenience. Let's be clear, Bonhoeffer didn't believe stupidity was born from within. He believed it was installed from without. He observed that people don't become stupid in isolation, they become stupid in groups, when the cost of thinking becomes too high. You can see this echoed in the modern world. An algorithm rewards you for emotional outrage. A headline tells you what to think in 12 words or less. A tribe welcomes you only if you repeat its slogans. Thinking becomes an act of rebellion, and obedience becomes a virtue. Just like in Nazi Germany, Bonhoeffer watched the educated elite, doctors, lawyers, priests, slowly abandon their judgment in exchange for belonging. Not because they were evil, but because it was easier. In 1961, 2 decades after Bonhoeffer's death, psychologist Stanley Milgram conducted a horrifying experiment. Volunteers were told to administer electric shocks to a stranger under the supervision of a man in a lab coat. Despite screams, protests, and pleas, 65% of participants delivered the maximum, potentially fatal voltage. Why? Because an authority told them to. Because they were just following instructions. These weren't sociopaths. They were secretaries, accountants, teachers, your neighbors, your parents, you. Milgram proved what Bonhoeffer suspected. You don't need monsters to do monstrous things. You just need good people who stop asking questions. Fast forward to today. The tools have changed. The mechanism hasn't. What Bonhoeffer witnessed with newspapers and radios, we now experience through personalized feeds and viral content. We call it engagement. But what it really is intellectual sedation. A 2018 MIT study found false information spread 6 times faster than the truth. Why? Because lies are emotionally satisfying. They bypass your logic and hijack your gut. And when you scroll, the algorithm takes note. It learns your fears, your hopes, your triggers, then feeds them back to you. Stronger, louder, more polarizing. This isn't information. It's indoctrination on autoplay. Let me ask you something. Have you ever believed something not because it was true, but because it made you feel safe? Because everyone else seemed to believe it too? That's the trap. In 1951, Solomon Asch ran an experiment. People were asked to compare line lengths in a group. When everyone else gave a clearly wrong answer, 75% of participants conformed, even when they knew it was wrong. This is the architecture of groupthink, and it's alive and well. From political cults to influencer movements, our minds are being trained to confuse consensus with truth, and that's the essence of Bonhoeffer's warning. The stupid person is often stubborn, but not independent. You feel you're not dealing with a person at all, but with slogans that possess them. But here's the deeper truth Bonhoeffer saw, and most of us still miss. Stupidity isn't just a mental failure, it's a psychological defense mechanism. Because thinking is painful, it demands uncertainty, contradiction, accountability. In a world where you're overworked, underpaid, bombarded by crises, and constantly watched, why wouldn't you reach for easy answers? This isn't just individual laziness, it's structural pressure. Economic systems reward compliance, social systems punish nuance, and digital systems monetize your outrage. Intellectual surrender isn't stupidity, it's a survival tactic. Bonhoeffer called the antidote to stupidity costly grace, the willingness to think, even when it hurts, even when you lose friends, even when it isolates you. Today, we might call it intellectual humility, the courage to say, I don't know, to change your mind, to ask inconvenient questions. These aren't heroic acts, they're necessary ones. Because without them, we drift toward madness, not with screaming mobs and torches, but with polite applause and trending hashtags. If you want to resist, here's where you begin. 1. Practice intellectual friction. Read viewpoints you disagree with. Debate with curiosity, not with rage. 2. Slow down before sharing. Before reposting, ask, is it true or just satisfying? 3. Admit ignorance proudly. I don't know is the foundation of wisdom. 4. Support structural reform. Advocate for media literacy. Demand transparency from tech. Reduce the economic precarity that fuels unthinking compliance. Because in a system designed to keep you passive, thinking is rebellion. Bonhoeffer didn't die a martyr to religion. He died a martyr to thought itself. He believed that when we stop thinking, we stop being truly human. We become shells, repeating scripts we didn't write in a language we never questioned. He asked a question before his death, one that haunts us still. Who stands fast? Who stands fast when the world rewards obedience, when silence is safer than truth, when ignorance feels like bliss? The answer isn't found in intellect, it's found in courage, in curiosity, in the daily decision to remain fully alive, by refusing to surrender your mind,